The rain arrived before dawn, whispering against the sea and rooftops like a secret only lovers should hear. Mira, the young widow, stirred awake to the rhythm of raindrops tapping her bamboo walls. Outside, the narrow lane shimmered like liquid glass, and the smell of wet earth filled her lungs. Far away on the winding coastal road, a sleek black car fought the storm until a sharp turn sent it skidding into the mud. Inside, Arjun gasped as the world blurred into rain and sound, then silence. When he opened his eyes, steam rose from the hood, and the rain fell heavier, drowning the sound of the sea. He stepped out, soaked instantly, and followed a faint light glimmering through the rain-blurred distance. It led him to Mira's heart, where the lantern flickered beside a tin kettle steaming gently. She looked up in surprise as the door creaked open, revealing a stranger dripping rainwater onto her floor. For a heartbeat, time stood still. Only the sound of rain and two uncertain breaths filled the room. Mira hesitated, her fingers clutching the edge of her shawl, unsure whether to speak or hide. Arjun managed a faint smile and whispered, "I'm sorry, my car, it stopped." She nodded slowly, her instinct stronger than her fear, and motioned him inside. He ducked beneath the low roof, the scent of wood smoke and salt wrapping around him like a forgotten memory. A kettle hissed softly on the clay stove, and Mira poured boiling water into 2 chipped cups. "Sit," she said quietly, her voice trembling like a string touched by the wind. Arjun obeyed, sitting cross-legged on the woven mat, water pooling at his feet. Outside, the ocean roared, but inside, the silence between them grew gentle, like the pause before a song. She handed him a cup of chai, its warmth fogging the air between them. When their fingers brushed, a spark flickered, small, quiet, but enough to warm a lonely night. Arjun took a cautious sip, the sweetness and spice wrapping around his tongue like a forgotten lullaby. Mira watched him quietly, her eyes reflecting the lantern flame as though holding a secret of their own. "The storm's been wild tonight," he murmured, half lost to the rhythm outside. She nodded slightly, twisting her bangles absent-mindedly, the metal chiming faintly with the rain. "My husband loved the rain too," she whispered, her voice steady though her heart trembled. Arjun lowered his cup, sensing the fragility in her words like porcelain about to crack. "I'm sorry," he said softly, his tone carrying more care than curiosity. She smiled faintly, the kind of smile that belongs to someone who has already forgiven the world. Outside, thunder rolled over the sea like a slow drumbeat, urging the night forward. Inside, 2 strangers shared chai, rain, and silence, each tasting, perhaps for the first time, the comfort of being understood. The minutes slipped away, carried by the hiss of rain on the sea. Arjun found himself speaking about his city life, the noise, the loneliness, the way success never felt like peace. Mira listened, her head tilted slightly, as though the rhythm of his voice was another form of rain. "I used to dream of escape, but I never knew where to go." She glanced toward the doorway, where the world shimmered in watery light. "Sometimes," she murmured, "the place that saves you looks nothing like the dream." Their eyes met, and for a long moment neither looked away. The storm outside softened to a steady drizzle, as if granting them silence to feel. He noticed how the lantern light curved along her cheek, how her eyes carried both grief and grace. Without a word, he set his cup aside and smiled, a small, grateful smile that said he finally belonged somewhere. Morning crept in softly, the sea turning from steel to silver beneath a hushed sky. Mira stepped outside, letting the cool air brush her face as if to erase the night's heaviness. Arjun followed, his footsteps quiet, carrying the warmth of chai and something unnamed in his chest. They watched the tide crawl toward the shore, slow and certain, like a promise. When she turned to him, her smile was no longer hesitant. It bloomed like sunlight after rain. He reached for her hand, unsure if he was asking or thanking. She let him hold it, and together they stood listening to waves and distant gulls. In that simple stillness, neither rich nor poor existed, only 2 hearts mending quietly. Later, when the village awoke, word spread of a city man helping rebuild the broken huts near the shore. And every evening from her doorway, Mira handed him a cup of chai, steam curling like a memory of the night that began it all.